Okay.
So, my name's Mike Schwartz. I'm currently assistant field director with Evoke and Trot, and I also do the recruiting with them. I worked in the field as well with them before shifting to those roles, and back in 2010 I got my start in wilderness therapy working for Red Cliff Ascent as a field instructor.
So you were working in a situation where you had more longevity than a lot of people that were there. What are some of the keys for field instructors to take care of themselves and last?
Yeah, burnout's real.
Because you got to last in order to learn, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so true. You get people out here, and I think you get that you go through the deer in the headlights phase where you're just trying to figure out what's going on. You start to get down the hard skills, what programmatically is happening. Then you become more comfortable being in the roles that you're in. You start being a head instructor, and it's like I went from being a confident field staff, now I'm this new head instructor, and what do I do? And then you get comfortable there, and I think that's when you start hitting your stride. You figure out what your style is, who you are, and I think to me what keeps people in this job is recognizing that there's that term burnout that'll get used, and it's real and it's okay. I think the sooner you can realize that, that's point A, be there and accept it. Moving forward is what do you need and what do you want? I think that keeping ourselves, like putting energy into our self-care, there is no right or wrong answer. There's an answer for each one of us, and I don't think you can read a book and say, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So for me, what that looked like is knowing that when I was out of the field, I didn't want to talk about what was going on in the field. It's hard for me to say as a job at times. I love what I was getting to do, and I don't need to talk about that for my 6 days on the off shift. What I want to do is things that are me. I want to go climbing, I want to go running, I want to read, I want to meditate, I want to do yoga, I want to do those things. That was really important for me in that process. For me, setting tangible goals every week of how am I going to work on myself, because I think it's really easy for us to get distracted from ourselves and be putting all this energy into the people that we're working with and we're helping out there that we forget about us. And so I wanted to have goals. I wanted to continue feeling like I was growing, that I was helping myself while helping others at the same time.
Could you give an example of some goals you might go into a week with?
Yeah, goals that I may set. A recent goal that was set for me was going out to the field and I was supporting someone's development. It had been a while since I had been in that specific role, and knowing myself, I know that I really like to step up into a leadership role, and sometimes I do it without knowing. And so a goal that week was for me was I wanted to truly take a supportive backseat role for that person. That really challenged me in a lot of moments. But within that goal, I wanted to be having those conversations with that person when that was coming up for me, so we could process how they were feeling. If I recognized, like, ooh, I was stepping on their toes there, so we could create open communication with each other.
Great. All right. What are some of the pitfalls that instructors fall into?
In the field, out of the field?
Let's talk in the field.
Pitfalls. Yeah, I think one pitfall that I see often is people stepping in, and I call it rescuing individuals. This could look like someone is having just a breakdown, they're crying, they're sobbing, and maybe there's that human side of us that wants to go over and put a hand on their back and start rubbing their back. Hey, you know what, everything's okay, like, that's fine. You know, that interaction that happened, that's probably on them, right? And I think that's a pitfall that we step into, and I wonder at times how much of that is about our own uncomfortableness with that situation. And we ask clients to sit with that discomfort also, and I think that that's a great place for instructors to be able to sit with that discomfort, right? Like, we want to keep them safe, and we want to supervise them, we want to make sure no harm is going to come to them. And I wonder how often individuals, when they're in the front country, they have different vices that they may reach out to in those moments to cope. Maybe it is reaching out to a partner sexually, maybe it is going to alcohol, it's going to drugs, or it's running to one of the parental individuals and seeking guidance from them or help in that immediate moment, and what gift we can give them by just being there to support them, but letting them sit with that and then processing later. So I think that would be like the number one pitfall that I often am coaching people on, is being comfortable with your own discomfort and how much that creates the potential for other people to grow in that moment.
What about some tricks for taking care of your physical self while in the field?
Yeah, tips for the physical self. So my pack has a waterproof cover with waterproof spray on the outside of it. with waterproof bags that everything goes in. For me, the physical self, I know that I like to be warm and dry, and that is, to me, one of the most crucial parts for my personal self. And I recognize if I'm cold and wet, or if I'm experiencing levels of discomfort from the environment, which is one of the most unpredictable things that we deal with in a day-to-day basis, that I'm not going to bring my best version of the self to the job. And so I think keeping my physical self dry and warm and well-fed, hydrated, those are all key, because there's a lot going on, and those are really easy things to like push to the back burner until you're like, oh man, I have a terrible headache, and you're like, oh, it's because I haven't drank any water today, right? Like, now I'm going to be focused on that, having to take care of myself in that moment, maybe not being able to give my best version to the clients that I'm working with.
Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe. The Primitivus project is made possible by the generous sponsorship of Wingate Wilderness Therapy. To learn more, visit wingatewilderness.therapy.com.